What's up, my good people of the internet? I love that intro. I really do. That music, like I said it before, that was the perfect music to pick because every single time in the studio I get amped for it. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. Welcome to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of where sports truly meets life. And here on the show on Friday, you know we have a trio of segments we bring to you every single Friday that you could set and keep and appreciate and have some fun with inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We are bringing you the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. And then we will get into, from there, we'll be bringing you the segment LEAD, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. It's an acronym created by, honestly, I would say by God, because it was an idea that came to me right before COVID happened. And it was just something that I thought, I was like, I want to do a faith-based segment. I mean, we talk about faith all the time on the show. I was like, but I want to do a faith-based segment. I want it to be connected to Chick-fil-A. And I wanted to do something special, and I was sitting there thinking about acronyms and just trying to find one that made sense, create one that worked with the actual word itself, as well as, what each of those letters in the word mean. And I came up with LEAD, and I blame God completely for that. Learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver is what LEAD stands for, and we're going to be getting into that segment, focusing on today's topic, when hope seems hopeless. So we're going to get into that. We talk about, hoping, right? Having faith. Well, when hope seems hopeless, how do we keep it going? So we'll talk about that inside of LEAD today, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. And then we'll get into our top dog of the week announcement, which is coming to you by the wonderful people at K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, proudly led by Lorraine and Chad, the awesome team there that takes care of our furry-loving friends. They're going to be here with us all throughout. We've done some great things with K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Campground Dog Boarding, and I can't thank them enough. So they've been here with us for many years, and we'll continue to have them here with us by the grace of God, because they truly are the place to bring your dog, young or old, big or small. The wonderful place where you can bring them and they can play and they can be with other dogs, or they can hang out by themselves if they like that, if they like to kind of just be on their own. And if they're at the campground for dog boarding, every dog has their own cabin, their own water bowl, their own food, and their own regimen. So you don't have to worry about the dog having to fight for food or anything like that. They each have their own kind of safe space to relax and have a good time. Then they can come out and play with the toys and play on the turf. And the staff is incredible, and I know that because I know how they've treated Lily. So make sure that you head out to K9 Camp Dog Daycare as well as K9 Campground Dog Boarding, both in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street, across from BJ's. And they truly are the place, in my opinion, to bring your dog. If you can't be home watching them and family's out of town, whatever it may be, this is the place to go. For me, having Lily, it's hard to find people to trust. And there's some people that I dropped her off with that I could trust. There's some people that I'll never have watch her again. And so trying to find a consistent place that's always going to be good to your dog is a tough thing to find, until I found K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Campground Dog Boarding. So thanks for taking care of Lily, and thank you for all the dogs you take care of. We appreciate you so very much. And that's why I tell everybody to bring their dog there, because good people doing good things in our community and truly treating our dogs like their family. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Is to go to places where you're going to get great service and really great people. So thanks, Lorraine. Thank you, Chad. And I appreciate everything you do. We'll end the show here with an all-new Bobcat Buzz, the Bobcat Buzz featuring the Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Today's special is going to feature Tay Baker live, the head coach of the women's basketball team at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse on James Street here in Syracuse, New York. Tay is going to be joining me to speak on the upcoming season, recruiting, and lessons learned. So a lot of great stuff coming up with Tay. You're, of course, with us on all of our outlets here, youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, as well as on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And once you connect with us here, you can obviously jump to our archives, and we'll be adding a bunch of our broadcasts here on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, YouTube, Podvine, Player FM, TuneIn if I haven't said TuneIn. I think I did, but if I haven't said TuneIn, I'll say TuneIn again. And there's other outlets as well, including Podchaser. So all you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, to connect with us in our archives and never miss a broadcast again. You can also ask Alexa or Google Home to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. So many thanks to them for that. With that being said, it's time to jump into our first piece of today's show. That's the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The Annoying Moment of the Week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so.
The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I'm laughing because I to this day, many years of having that, I love that intro. So, the Annoying Moment of the Week for this week. Well, I mean, it's got to be realignment, folks, right? It's got to be this craziness that is collegiate athletics. We can't relax. We can't just get ready for a season without there being some type of news of something going down, of somebody going somewhere, and this school's leaving this, and this school could go here, and this school could go there. This musical chairs doesn't stop. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. For those of you that don't believe it, it is true. We have this transfer portal that schools can jump through. That's how I look at it. It's like the transfer portal of schools, in my opinion. It's nuts, it's crazy, but it's true. Schools can jump into the transfer portal in this realignment. So I don't know what they're getting mad at their student athletes for doing when they're doing this themselves. Jumping into the portal, trying to find a place to go, trying to find a home, some finding a conference and then going and finding another conference before they even get their feet wet in the conference that they allegedly agreed to join. That to me, this is just, it's getting out of hand. It's crazy. It's a lot. And we're living in a world right now where anybody can just go anywhere. And again, and you've heard me talk about this on the show before, what is a contract worth? What is a contract truly worth? When, you have this grant of rights and there's a conversation of, hey, you know what? If we want to leave, we're just going to leave. Maybe we'll just bring you to court. What are you going to do? Are you going to sue us? Do you have the money to sit in court with us? You look at things like this and you ask yourself the question, what contracts have value anymore? When a kid signs a national letter of intent but can jump in the transfer portal in 5 minutes, what is that contract worth? When a coach can sign a 3-year extension and leave 2 months later, what is that contract worth? When a school is within a conference and they've locked into that conference and agreed to be a part of that conference, and legally they might have to go to court to fight to get out of that conference, but they still want to get out of that conference and break that contract, what is the contract worth? What is it worth? That's what I'm looking at here. What is it worth? And that's annoying to me that we're living in this. And and what's really more annoying to me is what it's all about. It's all about that money. It's all about them dollars. Because Oklahoma and Texas to leave the Big 12. The Big 12 had a network. Texas Longhorns had their own network. They make money. They make good money, I would imagine. But you're going to make more money now. More money, more money, more money, more money. They're making more money than you and I would know what to spend it on in our lifetime. So to continue to have this, let's make a bigger conference, make more money. Let's make a bigger conference, make more money. Let's make it. How much money do you need? What are you trying to do? Let's build a bigger facility and a bigger facility and a bigger facility and a bigger facility and another facility. And let's bring in this and do this and do. How much do you need? What about staying competitive? What about being competitive? How competitive is Oklahoma and Texas going to be in the SEC? Probably not really. Not really competitive. What did I say months ago? Months and months ago about Oklahoma. Be prepared to have 8 wins a season. What did I say about Texas? Be prepared to be 6-6. You're going to hang with Texas A&M? You're going to hang with LSU? You're going to hang with Auburn? You're going to hang with Arkansas, who's gotten better? You're going to hang with Kentucky? You're going to hang with Alabama? You're going to hang with Georgia? You're going to hang with Florida that hopefully is on their way back up? You're going to hang with all these schools, Texas. You're going to hang with all these schools, Oklahoma. You made it to the college football playoff playing in a conference where you weren't threatened by a lot. Baylor's gotten better now. There's some teams that have actually done some good things and gotten better there. But what has Oklahoma had to face in the Big 12? What has Oklahoma had to face in non-conference play in certain instances? There's teams that have given them hell. I see you, Tulsa. But Oklahoma and Texas wasn't even at the top of the conference. They haven't been now that they're leaving. Oklahoma had a shot at the college football playoff from the Big 12. Texas had no shot because Texas hasn't played that good of football in recent history. Case in point, multiple coaches in the last decade. What Greg have to say? These contracts are worth nothing other than hefty fees. Amen. The money made in big boy college football greatly trumps all those conference fees. Yeah, and that's the thing. We're looking at, and this is why it's annoying to me, because what is the point of building anything in collegiate athletics right now? And by the way, student athlete. What a funny thing to say. Student athlete. Not athlete. Not pro athlete. Student athlete. Where does this come in? Where does education come into any of this? More money, more money, more money, more money. Got to make more money. Fastest way to more money. I mean, the ACC, when they made the ACC network and they brought all these schools together and this, that, and whatever, you thought, okay, they're going to make good money. But then you see a discrepancy between them and the SEC. If the SEC is going to keep making money, there's going to keep being a discrepancy. Let's say the ACC caught up with the SEC. The SEC is going to make more money after that. They're going to sign a new contract. The Big Ten just signed an astronomical contract, right? So you're chasing. But at what point do you realize how much money is enough money? The SEC makes a ton of money. The Big Ten, the Big 12, you're bringing in revenue. What did Penn State, when they went through the Sandusky? Horrible situation. They had to give up, a year's worth of the money that they made as an athletic department and for football? They had to give up $60 million, I think it was. Somewhere around 60, maybe 64, somewhere in that world of $60 million. They didn't even burp. They had to lose an entire year of revenue, and it did nothing. It was like you spending an extra $10 on lunch. Huh? It was no big deal. Think about that. They lost a year of revenue, and did anybody see Penn State suffer? Maybe some of those on the inside were like, well, we got to shift this around and shift that. I didn't see them suffer. Did you see them suffer? I mean, to me, it's getting out of hand. Now, Florida State, again, I've been talking about this for a long time now. I've had this conversation with you for a long time. I've talked to you since, the beginning of COVID, about Oklahoma and Texas, and I spoke with you and I put a map up, and we've had many conversations about what could happen, what I think's going to happen. Clemson and Florida State leaving for the SEC, and probably Miami. Now, Florida State officials said this past Wednesday, just 2 days ago, on August, 2nd, that the school is considering leaving the Atlantic Coast Conference. Florida State President Richard McCullough, in a public meeting to the Board of Trustees at the school, said, quote, FSU will have to at some point consider very seriously leaving the ACC unless there were a radical change to the revenue distribution, end quote. Now, Florida State joined the ACC in 1991. The gap could reach $30 million per school when you look at the gap between revenue of the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC. The gap could reach $30 million per school. Now, the ACC signed a 20-year television deal with ESPN in 2016, which is that grant of rights that goes to 2036. Or, pardon me, at the same time they had a grant of right. So, it's a parallel thing. Pardon me on that. The ACC signed a 20-year television deal with ESPN in 2016. At the same time, they also agreed to a grant of rights, which gives the conference control of their TV rights through 2036. The ACC generated $617 million in revenue in the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. The SEC generated $802 million in total revenue at that time. The Big Ten, $845 million. And the majority of that is said to have come from television rights. And the SEC and the Big Ten, those are going to jump even higher. So when you look at that and you look at a fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2022, ACC generating $617 million sounds good, right? So you look at the ACC and you say, okay, let's do some football figures here. So let's just do some figures in general. The ACC generates $617 million in revenue. Notre Dame is a part of everything but football. So if we include them, then that's about $41 million per school if we have the 15 schools there. The Big Ten has 14 schools, so we look at 845. That's 60 million, so it's about 20 million more. And then we look at the SEC, who currently has the 14, and the SEC, so 57. So, yeah, you're looking at the SEC and the Big Ten making around 60 million per school, or 57 million per school, to the ACC's making 41 million per school by these numbers. Now, McCullough has argued that Seminoles are driving much of the value of the ACC's television contract, so they deserve a higher percentage of the deal. Now, this is something that has come up, right? Revenue sharing, that conferences shouldn't necessarily share the revenue equally amongst all their schools, that there should be a tier system where you're giving more money to schools that are generating more revenue for your conference, right? Makes sense. You know, is Syracuse generating as much as Clemson? Probably not, right? Absolutely not. And, you know, then you look at it and you say, okay, is Georgia Tech generating as much as Florida State? And so you start to break that down. Now, we look at this now. 7 league members allegedly had met to discuss their future, and the league has agreed to an uneven revenue distribution based on on-field success. So that's what I'm talking about, right? On-field success, looking at who gets more money. Now, Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, said during the ACC kickoff, quote, I'm well aware of the narrative and stories surrounding the ACC and our members, as well as the frustrations of some of our schools on our financials, but these are not new. The bottom line is our conference is strong, and I'm extremely bullish about our future together, end quote. Now, Florida State trustee Justin Roth had this to say, quote, the alternative of just staying in this conference for the next 13 years and trying to wait for that perfect alignment of the stars is the equivalent of death by 1,000 cuts, and each cut is a $30 million cut over the next 13 years. Damn. End quote. So, looking at August 15th as a deadline for Florida State, and Roth went on to say, quote, "It would be ideal if we could come up with something before that, probably unlikely. Our goal as a university should be to figure out how we exit this TV deal that we currently have in the next 12 months, end quote. Board of Trustees Chair Peter Collins at Florida State said he would probably be coming back to the board, quote, pretty soon with some more conversation on this, end quote. Now, how do you get around the grant of rights is the question. Do you just go to court and try to figure this thing out? Because, we hear all the time, well, if a school wants to exit, they have to pay this fee and they have to exit on this date. And then some schools agree to pay more to exit earlier, or they renegotiate how much they're paying and they exit at the same time, whatever it may be. So, former Florida State quarterback Drew Weatherford is also a member of the Board of Trustees. He said this, quote, unless something drastic changes on the revenue side at the ACC, it's not a matter of if we leave, in my opinion. It's a matter of how and when we leave, end quote. So, I've been talking about Clemson, Florida State leaving this conference for a very long time. This has been something that I've brought up for, I would say, over the past couple of years, I've been talking about what could happen in realignment's continuation and where I could see things going. Definitely have been talking about this for many, many, many months. And we just had a conversation about it with Alex Dodd earlier this week. And the day we had the conversation, later on that night, Florida State and Clemson were all over social media in their alleged plan to leave. So, to me, this is definitely becoming a real deal thing. Now, Greg said with the ACC sitting on their hands doing pretty much nothing for years, the ACC is certainly not going to take action in the next week or two. And that Greg, going off of the point that I feel you heard me say here on the show, which is the worst action is inaction. Okay, that's what I said. I said it last year going into the ACC kickoff in 2022. I said the ACC isn't doing anything in realignment. The worst action, in my opinion, is inaction. Them doing nothing is actually a horrible thing to do, is to just sit and not do anything. I thought was a very bad choice. The worst action is inaction. I said that last year. And then I said to myself, am I really going to have to go to the ACC kickoff in 2023 and have the exact same thought? Meaning that, in my opinion, in this past year, now I understand things behind the scenes, you try to work things out, you don't see everything, right? You only see the tip of the iceberg. But my feeling was still the same. What is the plan of the conference? The worst action is inaction. When I came to the table at the ACC kickoff in 2022 saying the worst action is inaction, I thought they were in trouble then, potentially. A year later, the worst action is inaction. I feel the exact same way and I've seen no movement. I think they're even more so in trouble. I think at this point, if teams leave, it's on them. And I love the ACC. I love everything that we get to do. I appreciate the conference. I appreciate the people within the conference. Impartially looking at this specific situation, as much as I love and appreciate the ACC and what I get to do there and everything that, they provide and the great people that work within it, we're not talking about that. When we're strictly looking at the situation of conference realignment, I think, as I said last year, that they've dropped the ball on this. I think that they've dropped the ball on this situation. I think they need to do something. The worst action is inaction. The Big 12 has been poached from. The Pac-12 has been poached from. It is only a matter of time before they set their sights to you. I think the SEC has been paying very close attention out of their peripheral of what's going on in the ACC. Just because they haven't turned their cannon to shoot at your fortress yet doesn't mean that they're not looking at your fortress saying to themselves, we're going to turn our cannon, but we're going to turn our cannon at the exact right time that we need to fire this. Just because the cannon's not turned towards you doesn't mean it's not coming. And that was what I thought last year. It's what I think right now this year. And to me, it's sad to see a conference that I think had so much upside and so much potential. When Syracuse came in a decade ago, there was a lot to be said about what this conference could bring to the table. But right now, they're not bringing anything to the table to me that, what about realignment? What about going and get stuff? Why didn't they go after the UCFs of the world? There's certain things. Now, there's a plan that I have of what they could do if I was the ACC. If I were the ACC right now, there's a list of schools, and I'm going to be writing something about this, but I would go after UConn. Their football's independent right now. Now, granted, it's going to be hard to get them out of the Big East. They just went back to the Big East. But I would go after UConn. I would go after Kansas and be bullish about this. And don't tell me it can't be done, because if Oklahoma and Texas can leave the Big 12, it can be done. I would go after Kansas, because you link up Kansas with North Carolina and Duke, those pedigrees in basketball, that's huge. I would go after UConn. I would go after Kansas. I would go after Coastal Carolina. I would go after West Virginia, who should have been there in my opinion already, and I would go after getting Maryland back. If I'm the ACC, that's what I would do. There's big money in Connecticut. There's big money in bringing in a Kansas team. Coastal Carolina is one of those teams that's been ranked in the top 25. They've done some good things. They've been ranked higher than some ACC schools out there. West Virginia makes perfect sense because they have rivalries with Pitt and Syracuse. And they're not taking you off of the Atlantic coast, right? If you bring in these teams outside of Kansas, UConn can keep with that ACC geographical. Coastal Carolina can keep with that. West Virginia can kind of keep with that. And Maryland can definitely keep with that. And Maryland was already there. And Maryland doesn't belong in the Big Ten. They don't make sense there. Honestly, I could see the ACC telling Syracuse to leave and bringing Maryland back. So, I think the ACC has an opportunity right now to go after at least 5 schools where I think Clemson, Florida State, and Miami are the most likely to leave. If you lose 3 and you bring in 5, now granted, where's your, of all these schools I'm mentioning, their best football, Coastal Carolina, as of right now. And West Virginia, kind of. Not Maryland, not UConn, although UConn did get to a bowl game this year. And Kansas has gotten better, but they've gone through some stuff with Les Miles being there and leaving. So the football pedigree doesn't necessarily get really assisted. How do you make up for the loss of Clemson? But basketball-wise, Maryland, West Virginia, UConn, Kansas, UConn's the reigning national champion. So to me, this would be a big move for the ACC. It would be, when Jim Phillips, the commissioner, talks about being bullish, this would be a bullish move to go after these 5 schools. And if you lose 3 and you bring in 5, and most of them stay to the Atlantic coast, you're looking at the fact of saying, okay, if they have 15 schools in basketball and they lose 3, that gives them 12. They add 5, that gives them, they come out of that, they have 17. So, and in football, you bring in these 5, you lose 3, then okay, you're going to end up, so if you lose 3 with the 14 you have, you're going to have 11. You bring in these 5, you'll have 16. Which is more than you have right now. So I think UConn, Kansas, Coastal Carolina, West Virginia, and Maryland are schools that they should highly consider bringing in. I think they should highly consider bringing them in. Very much so. And there's other schools out there. There's more research to have, and mind you, I will have it. But my annoying moment of the week is the fact that, what is a contract worth in collegiate athletics? Is it worth anything? Seriously. I'm asking. Not for a friend. I'm asking for me. What are these contracts worth anymore? And if you have people openly discussing, if one of your member institutions or multiple members of your institute, if any member of your institute, let me put it to you like this. If any member school in your conference is talking publicly about leaving your conference, that's not good. Because guess what? If they're talking publicly, you know what that does? That to me would make another school that's maybe nervous about going out and talking publicly feel safer about doing it. Well, if they're doing it, I can do it. Well, if Florida State's coming out here, now don't be surprised If Florida State's coming out here and saying this public stuff, don't be surprised if we hear Miami have some rumblings publicly. Don't be surprised if we go out here and hear some Clemson stuff. Don't be surprised. Because if one school is going out talking about it, and other schools see that Florida State's out here publicly addressing something that they consider an issue, and that they're highly considering looking at leaving, and some people on the board are saying it's not an if, it's a when, then don't be surprised if other schools start coming out here. And if that happens, then the SEC, or the ACC, has to do disaster control. The ACC, and this is what I said about the worst action being inaction, they haven't been in the news for positive things in a very long time. It has been a year since the ACC has been in the news when it comes to realignment in a positive way. It's been a very long time. Now, there has been good news. Syracuse won a national championship, right? Coming out of the ACC. Shout out to Ian McIntyre. Well earned, and I'm very happy for him, having the opportunity to have sat down with him over the years. The ACC has not had positive publicity in a long time when it comes to realignment. It's been over a year. Now you've been in the news for multiple days, and it's not good. And it was right after we had the conversation on Wake Up Call. Alex Dodd and I spoke about it. A few hours passed. I come home. ACC, Florida State, Clemson trending on Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it. And here we are. And it hasn't stopped trending for the most part. The worst action is inaction. Said it a year ago. I'll say it again. We shouldn't be in this. If you a year later are in the same place that you were in the year before, that means you're not growing. And that doesn't mean that the ACC has to add anybody. It means they have to do something to show that in the past year, there's been positive movement, progression, advancement. And I haven't seen it. And arguably, Florida State hasn't seen it, or else why are we having this conversation? So, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. That's my annoying moment of the week. We got to figure this thing out in the ACC, because if the ACC keeps sitting on their hands, they're going to be a lot smaller of a conference than they want to be. And I don't want to see that happen to them. Annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. We'll be back right after this to discuss when hope seems hopeless. Again, connecting off of what we just talked about, how many times lead connects directly back to the annoying moment of the week on this show is uncanny. We'll talk about when hope seems hopeless on Wake Up Call in lead right after this. Proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Rd in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life. It's time for LEAD, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver is what the acronym stands for. Proudly presented by the wonderful teams at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, both overseen by Jimmer Sikowski, one of my closest, nearest, and dearest friends, and somebody that we pray for every second of every day, all the time, to heal and to get well, for miracles to happen, for everything that's bothering Jimmer, including ALS, to leave him, for him to have full health, to be happy, healthy, safe today, tonight, and so on, no matter what, and to have a long, long life ahead of him that's long and fun and goes by slowly, and for him to have all of God's gifts to do God's will and be well, always, whether he's traveling, staying put, or both. We always pray for Jimmer. I love you so much, buddy. So with that being said, in this edition of LEAD, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, we have the topic, when hope seems hopeless. When hope seems hopeless. I had a conversation recently with my family, and it was about this. When hope seems hopeless. Now, we all have certain things that we hope in, right? Certain things that we want that don't always come through. And when hope seems hopeless, when believing seems like, what's the proof? How do we know, right? We have no proof. You know, I've encountered that in my own life. Certain things that I've wanted in my life that haven't come to be yet. And I had that conversation with my dad a couple days ago. Why hope, Dad? It's hopeless. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's something it's almost like playing games with me in life. And so it seems hopeless. So I came up with this topic today because I have felt hopeless this week. I have felt like in certain instances, in different situations, no matter what I do, this doesn't seem to be getting done right. No matter what I do, this doesn't seem to be happening. Situations that seem hopeless, that seem like no matter what I bring to the table, it's just not going to work out. And the reality of it all is, there are things that are going to happen to us in our lives that aren't going to make any sense. They're not going to seem fair. And it's going to leave us feeling like something's not going to work out. Right? We've all been in a place before, or we will be, and that's not me wishing bad on you. It's reality. You'll be in a place where you feel like no matter what I do, this is hopeless. No matter what I do, this is never going to work out. We have all felt that, or we will feel that at some point in life. So what do you do? What do you do when having hope feels totally hopeless? To me, you have to lean on God. To me, even, and this is what I'll say to you folks, when you say, really, I'm going to lean on somebody who I've asked for something who didn't give it to me? Well, they say God has 3 answers to everything we ask for. We get one of 3 answers. Yes is one answer. Another answer is yes, but not right now. And another answer is no, because I have something better planned for you. Now, something that just gave me chills thinking about it. And it's a Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. We talk about hope being hopeless. If I go to God right now with the things this week that have caused me to feel hopeless, and I read Jeremiah 29:11, God says, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Now this week, I felt like things were in place not to prosper me, to harm me. These 2 instances specifically were set to harm me, hurting me, stressing me out, bothering me, making me sad. Not making me sad, because you choose whether or not, but being sad. Being sad, being upset, being angry, being confused. These were here to harm me, but God says, no, Daniel. No, whoever's listening and watching. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So when you don't have hope, God is planning to give you hope. Even when things seem hopeless, God is saying, no, I have plans to give you hope. I have plans to give you hope and a future. So what do I say when something doesn't work out? Well, folks, things don't work out all the time. And there's things that work out. There's a lot of things that have worked out. And when we see the things that have worked out in our lives, do we say thank you? Or do we move quickly on to the next thing and say, hey, God, can you work this out for me? Is it a constant battle of show me, God, show me, show me, show me, show me more, keep showing me, keep making this stuff work out, big guy, keep giving me what I need to work out? Are we appreciating what has worked out, or are we constantly looking for more to work out? Because I've been there. I've been there. I've been in a place where, I shouldn't even say in a place, but I've been there. I've been in that mindset of, I'm not going to focus on everything God gave me. I'm going to focus on the one thing He didn't give me yet. I'm going to focus on the thing that He didn't say yes to. I'm going to say, God, if you want, why didn't you give me all the stuff I wanted? And you know what? That's an ungrateful child. And I'll admit that. I've been an ungrateful child. I think a lot of us have been ungrateful children when it comes to God and the blessings that we have. Did you wake up this morning? Then you're blessed. Do you have somebody in your life that loves you? Then you are blessed. See, to me, since I was a little kid, I was like, man, I want to fall in love. I want to meet that girl. I want to look in her eyes and be happy every day. And I want her to do the same when she looks into mine. I want us to be that love that people think is impossible. And then I want to have kids. And I want my life to get even better with her. And the two of us raise these awesome kids. We have a great time. And when we pass away, God willing, we're 100-something years old. We pass away together. And we get to go to heaven together. Sounds like a pipe dream, right? But it's my dream. And as I got older, I said to myself, okay, it didn't happen yet. It didn't happen yet. Then I got married when I wasn't 100% convinced that I should get married. And I wasn't even convinced the day that I asked her to marry me that I should be doing that. But I tried. And then I tried to get engaged again, fully knowing that there was many, many issues. Because I was looking at God saying, why didn't you give it to me? I'll give it to myself. I'll give myself what I want because you're not giving it to me. I'm impatient, God. And what happened? I was in a marriage where I didn't feel loved or respected or appreciated. And to me, that was solidified at the end of it. I was in a relationship where I was constantly put in front of really scary situations and trying to figure things out on my own that the human brain can't readily comprehend. Because I was trying to give myself what I determined I deserved in my life. Shame on me. See, when hope seems hopeless, sometimes we take matters into our own hands. And we say, and I'm not saying sit on the couch and be a sloth and don't do anything. I'm not saying that. But see, I made a decision in my life a couple times that I wasn't willing to wait for God to give it to me anymore. I was going to give it to myself. I was going to find a way to provide myself with what I wanted because I didn't want to wait for it anymore. And what I got from going into it, trying to do it on my own, I wasn't happy. I didn't have fun. I've still yet to bring a girl to Disney where I feel like that's my girl. That's my person. That is my dream come true. And, you know, some people might say it's cheesy to talk about this stuff, but there's a lot of men out there that haven't met that special person yet. There's a lot of women that haven't met that special person yet. And for me, you know, I haven't met that woman in my life yet. And at 37 years old, hope starts to feel hopeless. And when hope starts to feel hopeless, you start to feel like this world is against you. It's not going to work out. You start to feel when things don't go your way, no matter what you try to do, and no matter how good of a step forward you try to take, or how many steps forward you try to take, when things don't work out, you begin to believe that either you have to force it to happen, or, you know, you just get to a point of stress. You feel stuck. And I know there's a lot of people out there in today's world that probably feel hopeless. They probably feel hopeless in looking at our government. They probably feel hopeless at looking at politics. They probably feel hopeless at looking at prices of things. They probably feel hopeless in looking at the problems that have happened within the church, which I know the church itself, you know, it's been heavy. It's a burden for priests that didn't do the bad things to have to carry on this message. We talked about it in Mass this past Sunday. You know, you got priests talking about what happened. They're not hiding from it. And I think, you know, I mean, in life, there's so many things that are happening on a big picture scale right now in America that are very hopeless and daunting and stressful and suffocating. And then you're dealing with your own stuff in your life. See, if each of us dealt with our stuff within our lives, like me saying, you know, I wanted to be married, have kids at 25. And that didn't happen. So to me, that could be daunting. That could be hopeless. That could be stressful. But then when I look out at the world and I see violence and racism and hate and, politicians not having seemingly, it's not that all of them, but some of them having no care whatsoever for the people that they represent, for states just kind of doing what they want to do, for not feeling unified, for gas prices going up and food prices going up and people breaking contracts and people lying and people just being selfish and self-centered in this world. I mean, during COVID, we were all humbled. God hit our reset button and we were humbled. And I said, now when the doors finally open, it'll be a true test to see if we go right back to being selfish or if we stay together. And some of us stayed together, and some of us forgot that there was a pandemic. We were ever locked in our house, and they went right back to being all about them 24/7, 365. And that can be hopeless, and that can be daunting, and that can be stressful. So what do? How do we get through when we feel hopeless? Turn to God. Pray. I don't care if you've never prayed before. Pray. It works. Trust me, I've done it for 37 years. Pray. Pray. You don't always get what you want. Pray. Surround yourself with good people. Find things that are helpful to you. Walking is very therapeutic for me. It's helpful for me. Walking gets me healthy. Walking gets my body looking right. Walking makes me feel good. That works for me. Music, singing, that works for me. Going to the movies, that works for me. Going down to Disney. I love that since I was a little kid. Now Disney's changed and I disagree with many things that Disney's chosen to do and how they seemingly have propaganda in movies now, even in the Haunted Mansion that I just saw. So Disney and I are not seeing eye to eye right now, but what I think and want to hope Walt built Disney to be, I still go there for that. So, because I believe we can get back to that. But Disney trying to delete God from everything, I think, is a massive, massive failure. And it will continue to fail until they fix it. And so, I mean, there's things that I can do on a daily basis that reset me, refocus me. Praying, singing, walking, laughing, going to see a movie. They bring me back. They help to reset me. There's things that work for you. Think about what those things are. Practice them. Reset yourself. Get yourself better. Because there's going to be a time in your life where you feel hopeless. And there was a time in my life this week on 2 situations, definitely, where I felt absolutely hopeless. And in those situations, I called my close friends. I called my parents.
What's up, everybody?
And pardon me on that. That was that was my video with Katie Kalinsky popping up here. But I called my close friends. I called my parents. I prayed. And I tried to figure things out to the best of my ability. And when I couldn't figure things out, I went back to God. I went back to prayer. I went back to my family. And I talked again. There's a lot of people in this world feeling hopeless for different reasons. Could be the same reasons as you. Could be totally different reasons. But there's reasons why we feel the way that we feel. And it's not that those feelings aren't valid for you to feel hopeless, for you to feel lost, for you to feel scared, for you to feel worried, for you to feel concerned, for you to feel like nobody's listening, for you to feel lost. You're valid in feeling that, but what's not productive is staying there. You can feel hurt, lost, downtrodden, but you can't stay there. You have to evolve out of there. Because life gets better. I know that. If I had a nickel for every time I said, there's no way I'm going to get through this, I'd be rich. Truly rich. I'm not saying that as a cliche. I'd be rich. This world makes it hard sometimes when things are bothering you internally and you go to the external world and you look at it. Sometimes it makes you feel even more stressed out, even more scared, because the world outside today sometimes feels as chaotic as what may be inside of us. So the question is, how do we calm the chaos? Prayer, family, friends, doing things that are positive and productive and fruitful, writing, journaling, drawing, walking, singing. See, if you go on a vacation, that could be helpful for you too. But vacations are temporary, right? Alcohol is temporary. Drugs are temporary. Finding somebody to lay with for a night is temporary. There's a lot of things in life that are temporary, quote unquote, drugs, band-aids. You have to find the things in your life: prayer, family, friends, walking, spending time with your dog or your cat, right? Your animal, hanging out, watching your favorite show. There's certain things that you can do that are not temporary, that you can do on a daily basis to reset yourself. You can, in most cases, listen to music at some point every day. You can, in most cases, at some point, you can walk, every day. If you're in a wheelchair and you say, okay, Dan, I can't go and I can't, just get up and walk. Okay. So if you're in a wheelchair, maybe you find somebody that will take a walk with you, and, you just get in your wheelchair next to them and you talk with them. Or maybe you just get in your wheelchair, or maybe you just get in your, electric scooter or whatever it may be, and go around the neighborhood, right? Maybe you take your scooter down a Dogger Lake Parkway. You take your rollerblades down a Dogger Lake Parkway. You take your bike down a Dogger Lake Parkway, and you just go around for a little bit, Whether you're in a wheelchair, what if you're in a hospital bed? What if I'm in a bed, Dan? What if I'm bedridden? What if I just had surgery, I can't get out of bed? What if I have cancer? You could still pray. You could still listen to music. You could still be surrounded by loved ones. You could still watch TV. Dan, what if I'm blind? You can listen to your shows. You can listen to comedy. I like comedy, stand-up comedy, right? You can still listen to it. Dan, what if I'm deaf? Well, then turn on the captions. You could still see the jokes. You could still see the humor. If you're deaf, you can sign to the people that you love. If you meet somebody new, you can write a little note down, and you could converse that way. See, no matter what's going on in our lives, there's always something we can do daily that can help us reset ourselves. Because worrying about the problem is going to just make you more and more worried. It's going to compound the problem. It's just going to keep building like a snowball, and it's not going to get better. I know when I worry about a problem, I stress myself out, I physically feel pain, and it's not healthy. When I stress out about something, I can feel it physically. It beats down on me. It makes me feel terrible. I drive myself nuts. I get stressed out. You get off the phone and having that conversation, talking about what's stressing you out. No solution. And all of a sudden, your body feels weak. You feel ill. You feel even more stressed, and now you feel in pain. It doesn't help anything. Why do I say at the end of my show, God bless, no stress, do your best? Because I want you to remember that God has blessed you, and that God loves you, and that if you're awake, seeing and hearing this message, that's a blessing from God, because you're here to hear and receive a message and see a message. No stress. That's not me saying that I believe that you'll never have stress in your life. It means get it out of your life. Do your best, because that's all you should ever ask for yourself. If somebody asks more than your best from you, they're being illogical and irrational, because you can only give your best. And your best is good enough for God. That's what I want you to remember. It's good enough for God, and it's good enough for the people that truly love you. It's good enough for the animals that truly love you. Your best is always going to be good enough for those that truly care about you, Who cares if your best isn't good enough for other people? Most of the time, it's for strangers. Most of the time, when your best isn't good enough, it's for people on Twitter saying it's not good enough. It's for people on a message board saying it's not good enough. When what you give isn't good enough, it's typically, coming from somebody who's toxic in your life. It could be a family member. But when somebody tells you your best isn't good enough, that's the last person you should listen to. Because your best is your best. Now, tough love, somebody will say to you, I know you can give more than this. I know that there's more in you, but they're not going to be beating you down and knocking you down to pull it out of you. They're going to be helping you find the tools to become the best version of yourself. Because people that truly love you are not seeking to see you in pain. They're seeking to see you grow, and there are growing pains to that, but they're not going to beat the heck out of you to get it out of you. They're going to help you find it. And sometimes tough love is going to be there, but not in such a way where they're diminishing your spirit. There's a difference between constructive and destructive criticism. So when you feel hopeless, pray. Do something you can do every day that's positive and good for you, that's not a temporary fix, right? You walk every day, that's not a temporary fix. That's a long-term solution to health. You listen to music every day, that's not a temporary fix, because music can linger and stay with you, feed your soul. You start eating healthy and doing some good things for you, that can help you too. There's a lot of good that can come from talking to God, surrounding yourself with positive people and good people. Not people that are positive all the time. Everybody has their day. But surrounding yourself with people that love you every day. Surrounding yourself with your dog, your cat, your bird, whatever, that loves you every day. We make life so difficult instead of simplifying it. When I feel hopeless, what makes me feel better? Listening to music, praying, going to a movie, talking to the people I love, laughing, taking a walk. Simple things. A lot of them are free. So, to me, if we want better for ourselves, we have to be willing to do better, to seek better. Because feeling hopeless is not God's fault. It's a choice. Things in life may create instances where you question. They might create instances where the feeling of hopelessness comes in, but you have a choice on whether you stay hopeless or you find a way to move forward. And I'm trying to give you ways to move forward because I need them too. I felt hopeless this week. But you know what? I have such a close relationship with God that's gotten stronger over the years, that as hopeless as I felt, I said in the midst of all of this, God, please know I love you. Please know I appreciate all my blessings. Please know I'm not trying to disrespect you. Please forgive me if I sound like I'm not grateful for everything you've given me. I don't understand why this is happening, but I'm not here to question you. I'm not here to not appreciate my blessings. I'm not here to disrespect you. My relationship with God is strong enough for me to be able to look at God and say, yeah, you know what? I don't have this thing that I really hoped for in my life, but I've always had you. And something makes me believe that I'm going to be all right. And that something is always God. I don't know how people live without knowing who they came from and who their maker is. I welcome everybody to the show regardless of what you believe in. I just don't know how you would want to walk your life's journey with anybody else holding your hand than God. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back after this with the top dog of the week. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it,
They are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. They can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life. Appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Always appreciate hanging out here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Always honored and privileged for the opportunity to be here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So we have our top dog of the week announcement
coming up here for you today. And he doesn't know this because I asked him to be a part of the show today, but he doesn't know that this is coming. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding. My top dog of this week is my guy, Tay Baker. And the reason why Tay is my top dog of the week is because he's been out there working hard, being diligent, and really living his dreams. We've had the opportunity of having awesome conversations over the years. I've gotten to see him grow. We've had conversations about big picture things. We've had conversations about, his team and different things that he's doing with that. We've talked about life. We've talked about community. We've spoken about the world. And so Tay, to me, is one of those people, smile on his face. If he's having a bad day, smile on his face. If things aren't going his way, smile on his face. And it's not always easy to find somebody like that. So my top dog of the week, and also my guest for the Bobcat Buzz live here on the show, is Mr. Tay Baker, the Bryant Stratton College Syracuse Bobcats women's basketball head coach. Someone who inspires me, somebody who I know has a lot of, things that he's got to go through as a coach and teach and learn and be a mentor and be a dad in some instances and a big brother and whatnot. There's a lot of things in life that cause adversity and cause us to grow. And yet I've never heard Tay complain about it. So he's my top dog of the week because he's an inspiration and he's somebody that I truly appreciate I've gotten across paths with. So with that being said, let me bring him in. Mr. Baker, how we doing?
Dan, I appreciate that intro, man. It was pretty cool. I love that, man. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I was good. I mean, I know you didn't know that it was coming, but to me, you deserve it, Tay, because as a coach, the things that you have to do and the things that the work that goes into every single day and all the different pieces of what you have to do as a head coach. People don't always see the trials and tribulations and the growth, and obviously you have your daughter too to look out for. And, so I know that behind the scenes, off the court, off the air, I really do appreciate the opportunities I get to be around you, and you definitely make people feel seen, which is an art and a really important thing in today's world, especially, is to help people actually feel like somebody sees them. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, and thank you again, man. I love those words, bro, for sure.
So with that being said, Tay Baker, the head coach of Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse's women's basketball program, we're heading into year number 2 for you, Tay. What did you learn from year number 1?
So from year number 1, it was a grind, man. You've been around. It's been a major roller coaster. So from year 1, I pretty much just learned, to pay attention to every detail. Even if you think you have, everything down packed, or if you think you have the right answer, just go get double checked. I feel like, my Coach Clay, the men's coach, Coach Alex and Coach Nick, my bosses, I feel like they do a great job, going over, basically double checking everything. So for my first year, I just learned to, if I feel like I have a question, to just go ask right away. Don't wait till the last minute, or anything like that. I also learned to be more organized and be more prepared this year. That's one of my big goals, to have everything in order before the players even get to campus. Have files for every player, and things like that. I also learned, Dan, just a few things.
Yeah, it's good though.
Yes, man. I've been grinding and also paying attention to a lot. I also learned to, you always have your plan A, but to have a plan B or sometimes even a plan C if plan A or B doesn't work. And and the last thing I was gonna say, I just learned to take everything one day at a time. Create a to-do list and knock out as much as you can do in one day.
Yeah, no, I mean, and those are all huge things. They're all important things, and they're all a big part of the learning that you have in life when you're chasing something. I always talk to people about the difference between do you love it or do you think you love it, Now that you've been a head coach after being an assistant coach, can you really get a sense for, do you love it or do you think you love it? After everything you've been through, everything you've learned, ups and downs on the court, ups and downs off the court, can you honestly say that you love being a head coach?
I can honestly say that at first it was a challenge. It's still a challenge every day. But to answer your question, Dan, I honestly do love it. You know, I feel like this is something that got me out of my comfort zone. So every day I feel, you know, uncomfortable in a positive way. Like, I feel like every day is a challenge, and every day, like, I like challenges. So every day I'm trying to, you know, reach out to more players, reach out to parents, connect with new coaches. So it's like, I love to stay busy like that. So, you know, to answer your question, I really do love it. It's a grind, you know?
Yeah, you know, and having this love and this passion, how have you found the balance of being a dad, doing, you know, some things for yourself that, you know, you need to do to, I was talking about it in the last segment in lead, you know, when hope seems hopeless, right? We got to kind of reset, recharge our battery. How are you doing balancing taking time for yourself, spending time with your daughter, and at the same time making sure that you're the best coach you can be?
And so pretty much the way I go about like my days and how I'm handling everything is I don't want to word it wrong, but my coach Alex, my supervisor, he says like you know, it's a marathon, not a race. I don't want to like word it wrong, but like basically don't try to like overwhelm yourself. Don't try to do so much in one day. You know what I mean? Like I said a little earlier, I tried to make like a to-do list and try to make 5 or 6 things, not too much. And knock those things out, and then after that, you know, if I knock those things out and I feel good about the day, I pretty much go home, you know, hang out with my daughter. She's in dancing now, so that's like my getaway from, you know, my work life. So I'll go to her dancing class, watch her dance, and have fun. And then, you know, sometimes I'll set up phone calls for later on in the day, to where I talk to players and try to, you know, get them on campus and everything like that. So I pretty much just try to plan my day like accordingly, like just every day, just make that to-do list. And once I knock that to-do list out, I feel like I have a little freedom, you know, with family.
And when you have that to-do list and you have things that you got to get done, if you don't get to something, how are you with like kind of getting that all, you know, when something on the to-do list, when you get to the end of the day, you're tired, it's dinner time, you want to sit with your daughter, you want to hang out, do you kind of say, hey, it's okay? Like, if you gotten to a point of saying, it's okay, this is something that I can kind of prep for tomorrow and get set and all of that. I mean, how do you kind of look at that? Because I know that some people, when they set up a to-do list, if they don't get to something, but they vigorously went through everything else and got that done, that they're really hard on themselves. Are you hard on yourself if there's something left on that list, or how do you look at it?
I'm not really hard on myself. You know, like the great intro you had, I'm a pretty laid back, you know, guy. So I kind of tried, like last year, this was my learning year. Even right now, you know, the coach has been in 15, 20 years and still learning to this day. So like, what I'm getting at is like right now I'm just learning to prioritize and like pick the most important things first. So I try to really knock those important things out, you know, first, and then try to get like to the less important things. And if I don't get to those things, it's not such a bad day for me, because I'll get to it right in the morning. And I don't sleep much as it is, so I'll go home, you know, after my daughter's dancing and everything, dinner and everything, and I'll get right back to it if you know, if I have to.
Yeah, I think something you and I definitely have in common is we don't sleep. We don't sleep a lot, but you know, so what do you do to wind down? Speaking here with Tay Baker, the head coach of the Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse's women's basketball team, in this very special Bobcat Buzz exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. What do you do to wind down, to relax? Because there's something that like I try to do for myself at night. I try to turn on something funny, turn on a show, and usually something comedic, so that I can relax, laugh, go to sleep, and kind of just like let it play in the background. What do you do for yourself at night to kind of wind down, like some simplistic things that help you?
Well, some things I like to do, I'm a fan, of basketball overall. So I play basketball still, not as much as I used to. But I like to go down to the YMCA. I play basketball, and after I played basketball, like yesterday, I went and played basketball for maybe 2 to 3 hours, and then I came home, I shower, and then I have a husky who's very energetic. So he takes me on a run. I usually have to walk him, but he's walking me majority of the time. So that drains a lot of energy. And then pretty after that, I like to just hang out like with my daughter, get her ready for the next day, and I'm pretty much getting ready for the next day, writing notes down. That's pretty much how I wind down usually.
Yeah, so I mean, when you get that time and you're hanging out, like you said, with your daughter, she's awesome. I mean, she had her debut broadcast right when she was with us last season after one of the games, so we got to celebrate her. You know, how do you have fun? What's a daddy daughter day look like for you and your daughter?
So a daddy-daughter day with us, like if it's just me and her for the full day, I'd probably just get up, get her some breakfast. I like to go out and eat a lot, and it's not really good because it's spending money. But I like to bring her out. We'll probably, this isn't every day, but, on a daddy-daughter day, we'll probably go out to get something to eat. Then I'll probably bring her, like, to a bounce house, to have fun and enjoy herself. If it's not a bounce house, like a playground.
Yeah.
And then she'll like hang out with me majority of the day. I train kids throughout the week still. I still been doing that since I've been coaching. So sometimes she'll come with me to the gym. I haven't been doing it as much because I want to, complete my team. But we'll do things like that. And then she loves going to my mom, her grandmother and grandfather's house. We'll hang out over there, and then I have nieces and nephews that around her age group that will come over, and I hang out with family a lot, so that's pretty much my day, like daddy daughter day.
Yeah, and Mariah, I mean, like I said, she got to have her debut here on Wake Up Call when we did the Bobcat Buzz. She's a very positive spirit for you. So, Tay, when we look at coaching, people think about wins and losses, scheming, strategy, this, that, and whatever, but they don't look at kind of what inspires you. Does Mariah inspire you?
Absolutely. A lot of the videos, Dan, a lot of people don't know, but a lot of the videos I post on Facebook is really my daughter just recorded me, and then I'll just tell her to go do her thing. She'll go on TikTok and all these other little apps that she download, and she'll edit my videos. She motivates me a lot. She started her little bracelet business. She's a grinder, just like I am. But it's just pretty cool seeing it, in her.
Yeah, no, I definitely can appreciate, Mariah and her positivity for sure. Here with Tay Baker, Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse women's basketball head coach. Let's jump into some of the things that have been happening here. You've had the opportunity to put out some commitments about with this team, for this upcoming 2023-24 season and the new faces that are going to be coming in. Bring us into these women that have committed to Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse women's basketball and just what you could tell us about those that have been announced already.
Yes, well, I'm super excited for the girls that I were able to bring in this year. Two of the girls that I'm bringing in, their coach actually watched us live at a game last year. I can't remember off top what game it was, but after that game, she reached out, and her girls were actually graduating. So she reached out and she said she liked the way I coached, and she loved our style of play, and she would love for her two girls that's graduating to come to Bryant Stratton Syracuse. And I thought that was pretty cool because that was a new coach. I've never seen her. I connected with her. We built a good relationship, and she says she plans on sending me more girls in the future. But those two girls, I've watched their film. I built a good relationship with them. They're really good. One of them is a power forward, small forward, wing. And the other girl, which is her friend, is a point guard. And those are two positions we really needed to help us out this year.
Yeah, and for you, as you put this team together, I know last season, you had a smaller roster. So for this season, as you step into it, what are the numbers that we're kind of currently at, and the hopes of how would you like this roster to be as you look to expand it a bit?
Yes, right now we have a roster of 9 to 10 girls. I'm hoping 10 when I speak to one particular girl after work today. But as of right now, we have 9 girls. We have 5 new, 4 returners. And I'm looking to finalize the team. Like we mentioned yesterday, there's some schools that are already recruiting for 2024, but I'm working on finalizing our team for 2023, and I'm planning on adding at least 4 more girls to our own team.
So you're looking to add 4 more for this upcoming season?
For this upcoming season, yes. 3 to 4 more at least.
So bring me into that and being on the recruiting trail for you. Where are you going for that? Where is recruiting taking you in order to get these 3 to 4 more girls for the team this year?
So I've been pretty much going to New Jersey, New York City, and just reaching out. Like, I've already built relationship with coaches down there, so that's pretty much been my go-to. And that's what I plan on doing for the remainder of the season to finalize the team, is to continue connecting with these coaches. They're continuing sending me girls, but these girls that they're sending me also have offers at other colleges. But my goal is to get to these girls before these other schools, and have them commit soon. I've spoke to at least 2 young ladies within these last 2 days, and I'm hoping they can commit within this last day or so. It's Friday, so I'm pretty much by next week, I'm hoping.
And I don't want you to give away what the secret sauce is of what you say to them or whatever, but I would like to kind of look at the overall Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, because I know that each coach has their way of going about recruiting and how you do it and whatnot. So I want you to keep that secret sauce to yourself. But what is it about Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse overall that when you're talking to a potential student athlete coming to Bryant Stratton that you can sell and really focus on? What are some things about Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse that you think are valuable to anybody that would come be a student athlete?
I think one thing that stands out a lot is that I'm from the city of Syracuse, and that I feel like I have a lot of connections with a lot of coaches and different people in Syracuse. So I feel like at our Bryant Stratton, if when players come here, they'll feel like loved. They'll feel like I don't know how to explain it, Dan. Like, they'll feel.
I mean, if you're coming from, well, like you said, I mean, you're coaching in Syracuse, you're from Syracuse. So if somebody comes here, you know the city, its heartbeat, the vibe of it. So, you're someone who has lived within this community. So if you're recruiting somebody from outside the community, you can help bridge the gap for them and help them to feel comfortable in a place that you know so well, is kind of how I look at it.
Yes, and I also let a lot of the players know, like, we're not in the middle of nowhere, because I've been to a few colleges where there's, like, nothing around, and I let them know, like, we're in the middle of Syracuse, to where we have a Division I school, Syracuse University, and then we also have, Lemoyne. So our city is very active. There's a lot of other college students in Syracuse. I also let them know that as well.
Yeah, and that opportunity, I mean, for Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, when you have Lemoyne, who's going D1, as well as, Syracuse, and they're right down the road, what makes Bryant Stratton special to you, Tay, when there's other schools within, just a couple miles of Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse? What's the special part of Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse that you like, that makes you want to come to work in the morning?
The special part of Bryant Stratton that makes me want to come to work in the morning is that no one really knows about us. know, like I feel like we're gonna make a big impact this year. You know, Coach Clay's did a great job recruiting and building relationships in the city of Syracuse. I'm from the city of Syracuse. I think we're just starting to get put on the map. So I feel like every other school that you just named, you know, that we both just named, like Lemoyne, SU, everyone knows about SU and Lemoyne. I feel like we're going to be that school that those good players that can really, you know, make a name for themselves and for the program they go to. I feel like some of those kids from Syracuse, just because of the relationship Coach Clay and I built with the players in Syracuse, I feel like some of those players are going to start coming to Syracuse and making Bryant Stratton, and making Bryant Stratton a bigger name, a bigger program, you know?
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
It might, what was that, Dan?
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, that thing I was saying, including myself, you know, I didn't know about Bryant Stratton before I came and played here. And then it opened many doors after I played here, graduated, built a relationship. You know, that can happen for anyone else that decides to come here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, you know, having Bryant and Stratton be that special place, that unique place, and that opportunity here, and to be, you know, a home for people that have, you know, either come from high school or prep school, or maybe, you know, there's been a break in between. Maybe they didn't go to college right away and they still have eligibility and they still have the opportunity to come and play. I think Bryant and Stratton being, you know, in the USCAA and what you have there is you have an opportunity for people that didn't come the traditional route of high school to college to still be able to chase their dreams in the classroom and chase their dreams on the courts and fields of life, which I think is special.
I agree. Couldn't have said it better, Dan. I agree.
Tate Baker here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, inside of this edition of Bobcat Buzz, and being honored by as our top dog of the week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. What can you tell us about this upcoming season, Tay? Scheduling, getting everything set and ready to go. How's scheduling looking? How is the upcoming 2023-24 season coming to fruition on paper for you?
Yeah, so for 2023-2024 season, I feel like it's coming along a much better start than last season. I have 23 games. I'm still looking to add 2 so we can have a full season. And other than that, I'm just working on finalizing the team. Like that's my biggest goal, is to have, you know, more players than I had last year, because I didn't mention earlier, but just from the injuries and, you know, eligibility issues from last year, I want to make sure I have more than enough players just in case anything's go left. Like I said, I want to have a plan B or C, and that's what I've been working on before the players get here on the 2nd.
Yeah, and you said, you know, having a plan B and C to that plan A for you as you look at this and you're putting the schedule together and you're recruiting and you're getting some commitments and you want 3 or 4 more and you have a few returners. As all of this is assembling and coming together, how good do you think plan A is going currently for you? Even though you have plan B and plan C put in place, how is plan A going?
I feel like plan A is working, you know, good. Just sticking to what I mentioned earlier, you know, just making that to-do list and making sure I reach out to players, stay in contact with them, you know, because I know that this happens to a lot of coaches. Players, not girls, but players commit all the time and decommit, you know. Players go through, you know, real life experiences to where, you know, family members get sick, to where they can't come to school. They have to come next year. So, like, that's what I mean by having a plan B, like just continuing having like a big lead, like continually reaching out to players, reaching out to parents, coaches, because it's like a nonstop grind, because anything can happen. And that's why I was telling myself from last year I didn't really have a plan B, because I was learning. And this year I just want to be more prepared. You know, if that did happen, God forbid that did happen, I want to make sure I have someone coming right in, you know.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, is as you continue to assemble this, Tay, and get this ready to go for this upcoming season, why should people come out and see the Bryant and Stratton women's basketball team play this season?
I feel like because we have something to prove this year. You know, I feel like I mentioned earlier, I feel like we have a good support system. You know, as far as like the community in Syracuse, I feel like they're gonna the men's team always is very, you know, very live, very turned up at our games. I feel like is it gonna be even better this year? You know, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I just feel like this year is gonna be the year for not just myself, but for all the sports programs we have, from baseball, soccer, both soccers, basketballs. I feel like this is just going to be the year. And you know, I don't know if everyone knows, but last year was a big roller coaster for me, and I feel like the players that are returning, they got something to prove. They got a chip on their shoulder, and I just feel like we all are very, you know, motivated and anxious and excited, all in one for this upcoming season.
And share with everybody, Tay, before I let you go, the players that are returning.
So the players that are returning is Magnuma Traore, one of our bigs. We have Yuna Salong, our other big. We have Janata. We have I'm sorry, not Janata, Janae Gables. And we have, who's our last? Janae Gables, and I'm sorry, I can't. I know D gonna be mad, but Deontay Reed. But yes, D.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. D's gonna remind you of this interview during the season. So
Yeah, absolutely.
she's gonna get you. But so of those that are returning, why are you happy that they're coming back to this team? What do they provide?
They provide. I feel like they just know how the program is ran. They know how I run the program. They know that I'm a good coach. You know, I feel like as long as they feed into the program, they know that we're going to be successful. You know, last year we were very successful. You know, minus the few things. I feel like this year we have those powerful returners, minus, you know, our point guard. But I have a good point guard coming in. I just feel like those particular players from last year that are returning are going to be great leaders and role models for the, you know, the new players that's coming in.
Is it good for you, Tay, with, you know, what you had with some positives and some adversity? Is it good that this team that's being assembled for 2023-24 has a little bit of returning and then a bunch of new? Is it? Do you think that's a good balance for you to have coming off of last season, to have, you know, this team be comprised of new faces as well as a few coming back instead of having a ton of returners? Is it almost good for the culture that you're building that you're going to have a balance of new faces and old faces?
Absolutely. I feel like it's going to be good for the cultures. You know, like I mentioned earlier, it's about, you know, building relationships and meeting new people, and, you know, just having that bond with new people. I feel like the new girls, the new players, young women that are coming in, I feel like they're gonna attach to the returners right away. Like the returners last year were all leaders. Any one of the girls, any one of the young ladies I named could have easily been a captain last year.
Yeah.
And when I speak to them, because I have them all in a group chat right now, then I have the other young ladies in a group chat. But the returners, they're all locked in. They're ready to come and lead. And, you know, I told them how serious it is this year, the expectations I expect from them. And I feel like that's going to be good as opposed to teaching all new 10 girls expectations and what I expect from them. I feel like the returners are going to help me with that, you know.
And coming from Tay Baker, Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, women's basketball head coach. Tay, before we play a little bit of rapid fire here on a Friday, I do want to get to one thing here. Last year being a first-time head coach of any program to be at Bryant Stratton on the sidelines, what have you learned from last season that's going to make you a better coach in game?
Pretty much what I mentioned earlier, like being prepared before the games. You know, like if we have a game on a Monday, on a Tuesday or something, I'll try to go there early in the morning. Like Coach, I don't mean to keep bringing up Coach Clay, but he's really good at this. Like I said, he's been showing me the ropes. So he would get there, hours before and make sure everything is set up. So when the team arrives later on in the afternoon, we're not getting there and trying to set everything up. You know, I just want to be a more prepared. If I'm more prepared and organized, I feel like everything else is going to fall into place. That's like my biggest goal, is just to be organized this year.
That coming here from Tay Baker, I appreciate the candidness and the honesty here on the broadcast. Here, we can all be better prepared, and we can all have plan A, B, and C. I think those are awesome messages to share on a Friday with anybody going into the weekend and restarting yourself for this upcoming week. Tay, before I let you go, we're going to play some rapid fire here in this Bobcat Buzz. I have asked you a bunch of questions. Now you get to ask me questions. You're not going on the hot seat. I'm going on the hot seat. You have three questions you can ask me, anything in the world, and I have to answer them. Go ahead when you're ready.
All right. So Dan, my first question is, for 2023, it's almost over, right around the corner. We got a few months left.
Yeah.
But what is your greatest accomplishment for 2023 so far?
I would say my company turning 11 years old on July 20th of this year. And I would say in November, God willing, I will be a broadcaster for 20 years. So I would say those two milestone moments. Another accomplishment for this year is I think that I have evolved mentally to take better care of myself. I would say that.
I like that.
All right, what's your next one?
So my next one, let me think. What are your big plans for 2023, 2024?
Oh,
I know you said you're 20 years in, so that's a great accomplishment. What's your 23? I mean, your next year's accomplishment. What's your big plan?
A big plan.
Yourself?
Oh yeah. Well, I want to go to Italy, so go in Italy. I want to go to Spain, but I feel if I can do one of them, that'd be good. So yeah, I would say that. I would say big plans. I would say to become more efficient, better scheduler. I would say to do that. I would say other plans to really dive into some of these other things. Nicki Minaj says in one of her songs, "I never mention everything I dabble in," and so I'm gonna take a note from Nicki and say there's things I'm working on, but I'm not gonna talk about it. So.
I like that though. I like that.
All right, what's your last one for me?
And my last, what is? I can't think of a third one. Let me think. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would it be? Not Italy or where you're planning on going. Anywhere if you can afford it, where would you go?
Yeah, so I would say I'd probably go to an island. I'd probably go to an island where I could just get away and relax, and cell phone service, doesn't work, and it's just like relaxing, and it's water, and it's time with God, and time to just kind of sit, take a deep breath. So I would say, yeah, put me on an island with good food, good company, no cell phone service, and let me invite my people to just kind of hang out and have a good time. I would just like that. I see Jersey Shore gets to travel everywhere, and they're all crazy out there. You see Vanderpump Rules and all these reality shows, crazy people going all these places. How about some sane people going on vacation? How about that trip? How about instead of the Kardashians, how about, DT and the Bobcats, we go on vacation somewhere. How about we go relax somewhere, we hang out and take and sit with me and, point our chairs toward the water, and we could just have like those philosophical conversations while we just relax. That'd be nice. I'd like that.
Yes, sir. I like that, Dan.
So let's try and figure that. Let's work that into the budget, Nick. Let's try to do that. So let's get it. Let's get a chip going here. But with that being said, Tay Baker, Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse women's basketball head coach heading toward the 2023-24 season. Exclusively here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is where we bring you the Bobcat Buzz in our multimedia marketing partnership. Tay, I want to thank you for the opportunity to cover your team. I want to thank you for your kindness and your openness all throughout the season and beyond that. I want to thank you for allowing your family, allowing Mariah to be a part of it too. You involved me, in your life in so many different ways, and I'm very grateful for the person that you are and for the time that you give and the conversations that we have had and the better ones to come. So I want to say thank you for all that you do once again.
Dan, I appreciate you, man, and thank you. I feel the same way, brother, for real. And I appreciate you for letting me tell my story, and and just being able to put my exposure out there. Like I appreciate everything you've done for myself and Bryant Stratton as well, Dan. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. So I'll talk with you soon. Be well and say hi to Mariah for me, okay?
Yes, we'll do.
All right. Take care. That coming from Tay Baker here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We'll take a step aside for a final fast break. Wrap up the show right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Kampground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you are with us on all of our outlets here live all throughout the world. You can be with us on the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected to us, we thank you so much for joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archives, and you can hang out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, YouTube, and more. All you have to do is search on any one of these podcasting platforms, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you'll find me there. Big thanks to our incredible partners. We have a fantastic family that's been set up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Carvel DeWitt, where we have our own sundae, the DT Dolphin, mint chocolate chip, hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of the whipped cream. You don't want to miss out on that. It's fantastic. And of course, it's our official connection to Lemoyne, which is right down the road from Carvel DeWitt. 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Mother's Cupboard, where I have my very own sandwich. The only place you'll find my breakfast sandwich in the entire world, the Cuse McMother, is at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse. We'll bring you my bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up with some syrup and have it that way as well. 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. The Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, GG Cards and Breaks, Pizza Man, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Avicoli's. So many wonderful places. Great Lakes Honda City, if I didn't say them before. If I did, I'll say them again because they deserve it. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant, Chick-fil-A Watertown as well. Big time shout out as we got a bunch of specials coming up with them in our North Country Spotlight series we do with the team at Chick-fil-A Watertown coming up on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I mentioned GG Cards and Breaks.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks here with you in Syracuse, New York on 639 Delmar Place, right off of Teal Ave. They are the sports card shop that you need to be going to. I don't care if you're traveling from Cooperstown or if you just got off the plane or if you live here in the community. This is the place that you need to get yourself out to. If you've never collected cards before, it's a great place to start. If you have, it's a great place to continue the hobby. We look forward to seeing you out here at GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month.
on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, featuring the Dolphins Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time. AD and DT joins you on the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, you'll find the Dolphin Dive diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins alumni, and more. All you have to do is find your way to our show on any one of our live channels on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, you can also connect with us on our Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com and by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Bobcats here with us every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, including on days like today with Tay Baker of the women's basketball team as their head coach. You'll hear from men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, as well as their baseball team and their esports team, all joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Bobcats are on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and you can also find the Bobcats by going to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Saxons here on Wake Up Call on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. When you go to Wake Up Call live Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, first and third Monday of each month, you'll get the Presidential Perspective featuring President of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, and the stories that we have all throughout the year, including our most recent story on the Saxon Hill Complex, the expansion of their athletic facility and opportunity at Alfred University. Every second and fourth Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, you'll get the Saxon Spotlight with student athletes, coaches, and administration, as well as alumni joining me of Alfred University. Make sure you go to our Alfred U tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and you can also subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt for all of our coverage with the Alfred University Saxons. For more information, go to gosaxons.com, and as the website tells you, go Saxons. With that being said, I want to give a very proud and special thank you to everybody that has joined me here on the show today, watching and listening from around the world, including in central and upstate New York and our second home of Florida. We thank you all very much for being a part of the show. And of course, big thanks to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay for lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding for the top dog of the week, and our top dog of the week in our Bobcat Buzz exclusive special, Tay Baker, the women's basketball head coach at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse for the Bobcats. Find us 24/7 on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And of course, for all of our coverage in our kickoff broadcast spotlight specials with the Liverpool Warriors football team going into the 2023 season, you can find all four of those specials on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. They're also on all of our social media opportunities here. We're going to share in our story on Instagram. They're already up on Twitter and they're up on Facebook as well. Thanks to everybody that came out last night and packed Avicoles, and thanks to everybody that comes out every single month to our live events, including at Avicoles on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm heading off to Syracuse football camp, and as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Be well, everybody. Take care, and remember, when you feel hopeless,